Korey Morrison, defensive back, Alabama A&M. This your last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Korey, tell us, been here 5 years. I know you're the team captain of A&M right now too as well. What have you actually learned within the 5 years to actually try to progress yourself from back then up until now?
Consistency is what I developed majority of the years, which has kept me in the limelight of being a corner for Coach Towns, because consistency is everything that he's all about, especially with his defensive play calling. The more consistent you are, the more plays you're gonna get. So if you get 10 plays, if you're going 50-50, the less plays you're gonna get. So if you're somewhere around that 70%, 80% percentile, then there's a good chance that you're gonna play more. So consistency is mostly what I've tried to develop over the last couple of years.
Okay, you're from Montgomery, right?
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of people trying to recruit you. I know Alabama State. Why A&M? Why did you choose Alabama A&M?
It came down to, not to get into a deep story. Middle Tennessee State had a look, Troy had a look, but situations come up, and then it came down to Tuskegee, A&M, and Alabama State. Tuskegee wasn't giving really full scholarships back then. And I've always wanted to be an engineer, so it came down, and then I always told my family, wherever I go to college, it will not be in Montgomery, because I really want to get used to being out the house.
Okay.
So sooner or later, you got to get up out of the parents' thumb. So that, and I've always wanted to be an engineer, so A&M was the place to be that, and they got the right person to come get me, because Coach Pearl that's my dog right there. Coach Pearl just came down and just gave me a bit of truth.
Okay.
And so that's what really helped mold my decision.
Who's your biggest supporter when you go out on the field like that, when you go and play, every Saturday game? Who's your biggest supporter out there?
Always my parents.
Okay.
My parents, my mom, my dad, my stepfather, my stepmother, they're at every game. But except for Texas, they might not make the Texas trip, but anywhere else in the South, they're always there.
Okay, all right. What would you consider your strength or your weaknesses? Actually, since you've been playing since A&M and things like that.
My biggest weakness would probably, at first, I probably had to say the weight room, because I kind of lost a love for the weight room after high school a little bit. I've gained it back over the years, but that probably would have been a weakness. I got that way, because you need the weight room, but I kind of lost a love for the weight room. But I've dialed down and got it back, working hard over the summers. But I think my strength would probably be the fact that I know how to mold with my teammates. Mm-hmm. I always, ever since I was in high school, I always have a relationship with who I'm playing with. Mm-hmm. Like LC, Fausch, Rico. I have a relationship with all of them, and I try and keep that camaraderie going, because the better we are as teammates, the better we'll be in the game as a team.
Okay. Words of wisdom. What type of words of wisdom that you actually go by, that you live by, that keeps you grounded and motivated all the time in the games and things like that?
Really, I try not to think that much during the game. Really, I try not to think that much, but really, I just try and keep my mindset focused on the team rather than individual accomplishment. I always set my goal. I always set my own goals, but the fact of the matter to me is, if I can't do it within the team structure, mm-hmm. then I really fail. Okay.
Why do you think some football players sometimes miss opportunities if they get a chance to play? They always give excuses like that. Give me a full take on that. Why you think some athletes miss opportunity like that?
Some athletes, to me, miss opportunities because they tend to be lazy. Especially when you come out of high school, you're that big fish in that little pond, and then they try and just slide that over into the college game, and everything's a lot faster, a lot quicker, and you have to realize everybody that's in college was at one point they were a big fish in a little pond. So you're really starting over. And to me, one thing that you have to do is you have to be able to listen. Because, especially with myself, I'm not one of those type players. If you're coming in, when you come in, I always tell the I'm not going to try and sabotage you to keep you from playing, because I've always been taught that whatever the Lord has in favor for you, you're going to get anyway. Mm-hmm. So I always tell them, dog, if you need anything, call me. If you need help with the plays, let me know. I try and mold. Especially with the freshmen now, I try and mold them to learn the process. Because, like I said, this is my last year, so I'm trying to mold them into the process as fast as I can. So that way, AFC, Rico, they're coming back for their last year next year. So that way, they'll at least they'll at least have some comforting words from somebody that's already been through it. You know, I've made the all conference and stuff. You know, they can see my name on the wall and stuff. So maybe they'll take at least take a word of what I'm saying and and take it under their consideration.
What inspires you and empower you to be who you are today from back then?
It's my grandmother, my grandmothers, my parents, and just my family. Really, just my family in general. You know, I always try and make sure my name is on a pedestal to where that's in my comfort zone. You know, when somebody says the name Morrison, I want it to be on a pedestal to where it's in line with greatness. And I've always tried to carry myself that way. My dad has always taught me to carry my Morrison name proudly, and that's really my motivation, is to make my family as proud as I can.
Okay. Last question: if we did a book about you, what would the title of the book be, and how would the characters in the book be played?
If you made a book about me, I really, to tell you the truth, I'd probably just name it self-named. And as far as the characters, really, I'd say, I've always came up. They always said, a lot of people used to tell me I'm two people. So that's kind of where the K Smooth facade came from, because they always tell me when I'm in the locker room, I'll be at practice or whatever, I'll be one person, but when it's game day, when we hit the pads, I'll be another person. But really, the characters will just be mimic straight off, really, myself and my brother, because my older brother Roger, I've always based my success off what he did, whether he really knows it or not, because everything we did, I've always made it competitive in myself. Never made it out, never been in the public eye, but inside, to me, I've always made it competitive. Everything that he did in front of me, I always wanted to do either do the same but make it better, because we came up as basketball players. So every time, whatever grade he was in, whatever he did, I wanted to do that but do it better. Like, for example, our basketball career from 7th to 9th grade, we both won championships 2 out of 3 years in middle school. He won in 7th grade, I won in 7th grade. He won in 9th grade, I won in 9th grade. But the difference was, we both lost in 8th grade, but the difference was by the time we got to 9th grade, I led my team to an undefeated championship. His team did not go undefeated. His 10th grade year, his team had a winning season. I led my team to an undefeated winning season. And then, we both made all city and all that, but mostly to myself, on my inside, I always felt like I always had to try and do something at least better than him, whether it was points per game, whatever. And then I got into one thing that I got into that he didn't, was the football thing. I got into football when I got turned into when I got to be a freshman, just to prove a point to my friends, really. But the trick was I learned to like it, so I kind of stuck with it.